Hi, everyone. I am Mariah.
And I am Kelcy.
And this is Daisy,
our emotional support dog.
And together, we have a theater company called Mischief Story House.
Here in Redding, California. We're so excited to pull back the curtain on this story of how we produced an original musical play extravaganza. I do love the word extravaganza in 2023.
Yeah. So we've gone through our pre-production, our rehearsal, our tech week into our show. I suppose in the last episode, we could have finished it with, by the way, we did sell almost 800 tickets, which was beyond what we needed to recoup all of our costs, pay all of our bills, and still walk away with a little seed money for this year.
Yeah.
And so it was a success. We just wanted to break even, and we made a profit, which felt so exciting.
For our first production.
That was an original that doesn't have no notoriety, no
audience base.
Is that?
Yep.
None of it.
No.
I mean, people have heard of Jesus, so I guess we did have that.
We pulled on history there.
People knew, yeah. So
that works.
It did.
We had a little support from above.
Thanks, God.
Thanks, God.
But we wanted to spill the tea. We wanted to get into the nitty-gritty because I think whenever I do something and then I go and talk to somebody who's also done that thing, and then they're like, yep, it's hard. And I'm like, why didn't anybody ever tell me about their journey in the hard?
Totally.
Why didn't anybody ever say this is what it was like? I remember my husband was a youth pastor for a few years in LA. And I remember going to a pastor friend of mine and being like, can you believe this? This is so hard. And she's like, yep, that's how churches are. And I was so churches are hard to work at because you have so many different components happening inside of one space.
Yeah.
It's not just a job. That's hard. Nobody ever said that when we were getting into this.
Oh, man.
And so we were like, I think it'd be fun to have a conversation about what it's like on the emotional side to create something and what it's like in the interpersonal side to create something. And it was messy. And we were messy with each other, and we hurt each other, and we encouraged each other, and we let each other down, and we misunderstood each other.
Oh, many times.
Many times. And then we put our big girl pants on, and we talked it through. And we cleaned it up.
So consider this your invitation into maybe a taste of the actor life, where you have the text of our show, the text of everything that happened, and then you have the subtext, which is everything you feel while you're doing the thing. So come with us as we explore the subtext. So do you want to start, Mariah, on, I feel like something that stood out to me was we had a commitment to not bringing how would I describe this? Not bringing uncontrolled or out of control overwhelm to each other. We had a commitment to, I'm going to try to kind of see what's going on inside of me first, and then I'm going to bring it to you. I think that was one of our saving graces. I think if we hadn't have had that, the tension and the risk and the pressure of producing this show, at least speaking for myself, I think I could have broken trust and burned bridges pretty easily because it was such a pressure cooker of things going wrong, high responsibility, leadership where people are coming to us and being like, solve these problems. And there was, at that time, no one else to solve them.
Right.
It was us.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that commitment to, I'm going to check in with myself and then bring things to you, we had a lot of those I'm bringing things to you moment. What's one of your most memorable ones?
Well, I think it was our opening day, and I was putting my makeup on.
Yes.
And you
sidled in
around the corner, and you were like, hey, Mariah, just have a question for you. And that's one thing I love about our relationship is we value curiosity inside of conflict. We definitely stand by the idea that I have no idea what's going on inside of you. And so if I jump to a conclusion, it's probably wrong. So it's natural for us to jump to conclusions and make a story up about what you meant. but pretty quickly we're interested in figuring out what did you actually need.
Yeah.
Which this was very helpful in this situation because I had just written the thank you from production. That's what I was thinking for our playbill.
For our playbill, the little note from the directors that says, "This is a show and I'm so excited to share it with you.
Yeah.
Thank you to all of these people who participated."
And I was thinking I was writing that from me and you. But Kelcy read it and thought I was just writing it from myself, and I didn't include her in the thank you.
It was, "Thank you, Kelcy, for music." And then it was like...
Well, because I also thought I want everyone to know she's done the music. Even though this is coming from like Immanuel production or from Mischief production, I was like, I just need them to know she did the music. That feels so important. So I'm going to put that in there. But she read that as, "Thank you for doing the music," as that's all I did.
That's all you see me? Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, no, I thought I was taking something off your plate by writing this thank you from both of us. But then I did. I guess I can totally see why you read it that way. I just wanted everyone to know for sure that you did the music because it was so beautiful. And it felt way more like, yeah, I'm directing, but this music is the other half of the show. That's so hard. And it feels like I don't want just to have this shiny moment. I'm the director, and here's all the things I did. And so,
when you say it like that, wow, I feel so loved. But isn't it so funny how our protectors and our like nervous system is hardwired to look for threat, danger? And I read your note and I was like, I'm in danger. She doesn't value me. Oh, God. And so thank you for responding the way you did.
Yeah. Oh, it made so much sense. But it was so funny because I was like, yeah, that's one of a great example of why having curiosity is such a gift inside of the creative process, because the second you're in judgment and you're in offense and you're in bitterness and you're in shutdown, you really lose access to technically your prefrontal cortex, but also you lose access to a lot of your creativity. And even though we were kind of out of the writing and directing and like expressive creative, we still had a bunch of problems that we needed to solve, and we needed our creative brain to do that
so much. Yes. And I think something that I noticed and appreciated was there wasn't it would have been very easy for me to just stuff it, be like, I'm sure that's not what she meant, I'm gonna keep moving along. And the reason I didn't is because I felt in my body, I felt myself getting tense when you would like be around. And I was like, oh man, like if I'm having a physical reaction to something that I'm telling myself isn't true, like I was trying to do that work of, sure, that's not what she meant. It was so much energy. I'm so glad I was able to be like, you know what? I could get some of this energy back if I just asked. And so curiosity being a core value of our dynamic and of our culture of Mischief Story House comes from that place of experiential. I've felt what it feels like when I'm in fight or flight, or I'm feeling scared of you, which shuts down my creativity and shuts down our connection.
Right. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And I do think like we named our company Mischief because it feels like we're doing something that's different. We're different. Pick me. But we did want to do things different than that. Like, I'm the boss and I'm running this and you don't get to have a say. Yeah. And if we want people that we're leading to get to feel like that, we have to feel like that with one another, because kind of what you were saying about subtext is I could feel your, like, if you didn't come and talk to me, I would have been able to feel your subtext of your walls up, you're shut down a little bit, you're kind of pushing me away, even though the text, what you're saying, what you're doing is,
I trust you.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Yeah.
Doing it. Yeah. And so I think getting to clear that up then, created safety. And we needed that inside of us because it's a mountain you're climbing. And if you don't feel like you can feel safe and trust the people you're working with, then you're all by yourself. And that is the place that we just don't want to do this from.
It's not fun. So we had these type of cleaned up conversations during the show process. So the show ends, I get quite ill.
Well, wait,
am I going to back us up?
Yeah, because I was just thinking about the last like 2 weeks, you're also working with our live musicians.
Yes.
But I think you had already been like running on E. And then you just had, like you were kind of saying in the last episode, you had nothing else to offer, nothing else to give.
Yeah.
And so Kelcy just kind of like she did, what is the Simpson,
where you like melts into
melts into the fridge. You kind of did that on the production side of things.
Yes, I did.
And so it was just me like figuring out all the last minute, like nitpicky details of how do we cover this up and how do we make this look beautiful? And oh gosh, we need this. And we had a pre-show reception that we were doing, and last minute we had to buy 2 new coffee crafts for it. And turns out those things are like $350.
They told me.
And I was like, what? We thought we had one we could use for free. And it was just another thing that the day of the show, I'm running around to like the restaurant store with my dad. Luckily, he was like, it's okay. Your mom has always wanted one of these. We'll just get one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Kelly, for always wanting one.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, there's just lots of little things that I was just, every day I was going to the venue, putting things together, putting up the pipe and drape. A lot of it just me and my dad. Then we had some people come and help us. And then you were just dating a guy, pretty new dating.
Mm-hmm.
And the weekend before our show takes on, we're like, we're going to go out of town. And I was like, okay, the weekend that we'll be doing all of our last minute preparations. So you're going to go have a romantic weekend. That's nice. But I also was like, I remember what it was like dating Daniel at the beginning. I just was like, I remember being such a bad friend. Not saying that you were that, but I remember being like...
The ability to think through things.
Yeah. You're like a little lovesick. You just are like had this tunnel vision. So I was like, that's fine. It's all right. I probably should rest this weekend anyways. But you're like, I'm coming back on Sunday, so no problem.
Yeah.
And then you call me Sunday and you're like, hey, we decided that we're going to stay till Monday. We're going to leave Monday morning. So early in the morning by like early afternoon.
Yep.
And we weren't going to do anything till then anyway. So I was like, no big deal. Then she calls me and she's like, hey, by the way, he's sick. He's vomiting on the road back. And I think we're going to get there right before we have to do our tech rehearsal.
Which I was feeling already, like I said, already feeling like I'm letting Mariah down. But I'm not talking about it because I don't feel shame resilience in this moment. And I don't feel like I can handle it.
Great, because you said to
I tried.
Yes. You were like, I bet you feel abandoned by me.
No, and I was like,
I think I do. I'm really, really stressed and I need you here. And I already have the trigger belief, whatever you want to call it, of everything's just going to get left to me. And I'm going to have to be the biggest one that figures it out. I have to be the most responsible. It's all going to be on me. So I felt like I was reliving that. But I wasn't really. Like I had ways that I could have power and agency and could have been okay. But I did just pull into
the tunnel vision.
Yep. Okay. This is it. I'm used to this. I'm used to being the highly responsible one who's just going to have all the responsibility to get this done. And I'm going to charge through. But I actually felt like it lowered something inside of me in a really good way when you were like, I bet you feel really alone and you felt like I've abandoned you. And I was like, yeah, I do. And you were like, I get, like, you just made room for me. You were like, that makes sense. I can see why you would feel that way. I'm really sorry. That is not what I meant to do, but that is what it's feeling like, huh?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, it is. And so can't control those things. And I felt like you led the way for us to be able to have the conversations afterwards by your humility and ownership. And I thought you felt really soft towards me. So I liked that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Hearing it that way, I remember that.
I think your internal world was
internal world was different. But not like I remember because of how loved I did feel by you. It was easier to be like, might be really disappointed and that'll be like, okay, like we'll be okay.
And I've had a problem being able to tell people I've been disappointed or felt let down by them. That feels so scary to say. So you opening it up, then I was like, oh, I'm allowed to feel this and not hold this against her. And I could just feel it through and then be done with it. And she led the way for me to get to do that without having, like, I had permission to feel that way.
Yeah. And voice it.
Yeah.
That's good.
And then it was like, oh, actually, this wasn't really that hard. She didn't die and I didn't die. Both made it.
We made it. We did arrive at like 10 minutes before we started the rehearsal, but we made it.
He was sick as a dog. He was our pianist.
Overcame. Just showed
There was a fat wastebasket. I know. I thought he was fine by that. But he had food poisoning.
Oh, bad. So those kind of conversations did happen. And I'm so proud of us. Because, again, breaking the mold of what you can expect in a theatrical kind of production. Then I think I had a little bit of delusion that I had stayed current. And it wasn't until after the show that, or maybe even longer, because I left for Christmas holidays, that I was like, I have pain. I have disappointment. I have confusion. I'm so scared of bringing this up.
Yeah.
Because now it feels too late. And I think that was in the process of doing the show. And I've seen this pattern before of like, when you're like locked into something, it's a little bit easier to broach a topic or be like, hey, we're in this. I need some clarity. But when some distance, some space comes along, there's less like daily assurance that we're probably going to get through this. I find myself second guessing, doubting myself, and I'm more likely to stuff emotions or stuff things.
Yeah.
Curious, how did you feel after the show?
Well, because then our show wraps. We have to load out that night. You were so ill.
I was pretty ill.
And so then you left. And I stayed. And I was like at my limit. And I remember, I'm so tired.
This is evidence that I'm alone.
But then I looked around and I was like, I'm not alone. Look at all these people here helping me. Kelcy is sick. She cannot help that. She would be worthless here. She should go home and take care of herself. This is just feeling like something I've felt in the past. This isn't reality. And so then I looked around at all the people that were there helping and all the people that were committing to being there and not leaving me all by myself. And there were so many of them. And I also felt really high from it. Like I just felt
the win of the show.
Yeah, I felt the win of the show that I rode through. And I even I had to do a bunch of returns, which, sorry, Amazon. And I had somebody come and help me do all of that. Thank you, Katrina.
Katrina.
And so I wasn't alone, and I had lots of evidence to prove that. So I had felt like we had talked it out. I thought we would need to, for the future, if you're going to feel like you're in some version of shutdown, I might need you to see if you can communicate that more, because I think I was like, tomorrow she'll be able to help me. But I don't know. And it was just never there.
Yeah.
But I also needed to be able, I could own that I didn't ask for help. I didn't say, hey, where are you? I'm needing help. Is there a reason you're not showing up?
Yeah.
We need to make a plan if you're not able to show up. If you're I don't want you to be tapped going into the show, but I also don't want me to be tapped.
Right.
And so there was an old pattern that I fell into as well that we had to talk through. But then you brought up something about feeling like that last night, our closing night, my dad got up and thanked people, and then he was and welcome up the director, my daughter Mariah. And so I kind of gave a little speech. I went through and I thanked people, and then as I'm giving the speech, these people, this family, get up and they walk out, and it was late, and they probably just wanted to go home. But I was like, everybody wants me done. They're done with me talking. And I probably wasn't talking that long.
Why not?
And so
feel like
you were the last person I was going to thank. And then I just kind of was like, and thank you so much, Kelcy. She wrote the show. She's so great. So grateful for her. All right, good night, everybody. And then
I felt unseen. And the high of the show, the high of, oh my gosh, we created something together. I quickly, which is crazy how fast your body responds, was like, she doesn't see me. She feels like she did this by herself. And she kind of did do it by herself in those last 2 weeks because I had nothing to give. Now I feel wildly conflicted. And I lost some of the sweetness of that moment of, oh my gosh, we've slayed so many dragons to get here. And it was like, in a moment, gone.
Yeah.
And so I think in our circling back, show's over, but you're not done.
Yeah.
Mischief Story House is not done. I am very proud of how we wrestled through. How do you feel like that set us up for our next project?
Well, I think even inside that we were talking through credit, and we both had that feeling of credit because the truth is I was like, I did kill myself the last 2 weeks. I deserve this credit. Mm-hmm. And granted, I wasn't like trying to like take more, but I remember feeling that. And we talked about it the other day, actually, about how when you have to abandon yourself and when you have to step into this stressful state where we leave our needs and our feelings and we lock those all in the basement and we're like, no, I'm not going to give you what you need because we need to go forward into this. Then the payoff at the end is the notoriety,
being seen,
the applause, the being seen, the credit.
Yeah.
And if somebody takes that from you, then you feel like all of the ways that I abandoned myself aren't worth it.
Right.
I didn't get the payoff I thought I would get.
I abandoned myself and now I'm not getting care. Like, it's almost like a debt situation of like, I'll go into debt because it'll get covered later. And then when it doesn't get covered later, there's big feelings.
Right.
Big feelings.
Totally. So we were like, let's not abandon ourselves as much as possible this year. Let's stay out of stress as much as possible. So we brought on a team of people.
A team.
And we have some great producers and marketers and costume designers,
assistant director.
Yeah, we just have a great team of people that we've been super clear with on wanting to empower them and also wanting them to get to feel, like they're getting to spread their creative wings and fly too, that it's not just only our vision. We're not locked into that. And so after some deliberation, a big thing of feedback that we got was people were wanting more of the story. They were wanting a longer version. They were wanting more songs.
More time with the characters.
More about the characters. And so we wrote a full-length musical with new songs, more characters. We dove in deeper into some storylines and have an incredible full-length original musical
happening this holiday season
here in Redding,
California at the Stirring, December 5th through 7th and 12th through 14th. 2 weekends, baby.
Whoa.
Bigger and better. And it feels so hopeful. I feel very hopeful. Even doing this like recap podcast situation is reminding me of the trials and tribulations.
Really, yeah.
That's also helpful to remember because they're going to be back.
Yep.
And in ways that we can't predict.
Right.
But also it's reminding me of the beauty and the foundation that we have of curiosity and connection to ourselves and others.
So come see Immanuel, A Christmas Story.
New and improved.
And experience God with the messiest of us.
And we are the messiest of us. So
just
come join the fam.
Come be a part.
Come be a part.
Find yourself in the story.
Yes. You there.